friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. Today is going to be one of the last planting days in the garden. The only other thing I will need to put in the ground after today is my peppers, and they're in the process of being hardened off, so they'll probably go out maybe next week or next weekend, but we have time for them. The weather isn't quite ready for the peppers anyway, but it's ready for the rest of these things. So I've put together a little basket of things we're going to take to the garden. So first we need to get some seeds in the ground. So we're going to be planting my vine and green beans. I can't find my green bean packet, but these are ones I saved from a couple years ago. So we're going to see if these germinate, and if they don't, I'll have to go maybe buy some more because I lost my packet, my seed packet. So we'll see if these germinate. These are Blue Lake vine and green beans, and they're my favorite kind of green bean. If you can do bush beans or vine green beans. And I have found I get a lot more beans off vine and green beans than I do off of bush. So if you have a place to have something vine up and grow, I would say green beans should be vining every single time. I'm not even putting any bush beans in the ground just because, again, I have so much better success with my vine and green beans. We're also going to be putting in our okra today. I do not start okra from seed. I just put okra direct seed into the soil, and we're doing burgundy okra. I love the color of it. It tastes delicious, and so we're just going to pop a couple of these things in the ground, a couple of these seeds in the ground. I probably will grow about 2 okra. I don't need to grow a lot of okra because okra produces so much. Last year I could not keep up with it. I think I had like 5 plants. So we're going to go for 2 okras this year. And then we're also going to be planting our beans. So we have our black beans. That's more black beans. I have kidney beans, just a few kidney beans we're going to plant. And then instead of doing pinto beans this year, we're going to try to grow garbanzo beans. I would like to grow chickpeas. I think these are delicious, and I want to use these more in my everyday eating. So we're going to see if we can grow some of these. So I did a little bit of research, and it said you can grow chickpeas from store-bought chickpeas or garbanzo beans. So we're going to try to get them in the ground and see what they do. It just said the soil needs to be moist for them. So we'll monitor that and see what we can do on that front. And then we're going to plant seed flowers. So I did start a whole bunch of sunnies and zinnias already, but we're going to be throwing some seeds in the ground as well. And the reason, not so much with my zinnias, we need to check how many zinnias I have already planted, but my sunnies, by starting them inside and planting the starts out, sunnies don't like to be transplanted, but mine do just fine. Maybe get stunted, they don't go as tall as they would have gone, but they'll grow just fine for me. But by starting them in seeds and then by planting starts and then starting seeds fresh in the garden, I'm able to kind of keep a revolving window of sunflowers. So I always have sunflowers growing in the garden. I don't have enough space I really want to have enough space I could plant sunflowers so I could harvest them for vases. I don't have enough space, so basically I just plant sunflowers sporadically throughout the garden so that I have height, interest, color, prettiness. So that's basically the point of my sunflowers. So I am going to, hold on Sawyer, I'm going to be planting some of these Ruby Eclipse. We started all these from seeds already, so we did look at all these together, but I love those white ones. I love these beautiful red ones. Always have to have a teddy bear sunflower because they're gorgeous. And then the Fantasia. I think it's Fantasia. So I'm going to start some of those. Oh, and then I did find these beautiful all white sunflowers. Hold on, Sawyer, I'm coming outside. I did find these beautiful all white sunflowers that I'm excited about, so I'm going to plant some of them in the ground. And then I started these from seeds and they did not grow, so I'm just going to put some seeds of coxcomb in the ground and see if I can get it to germinate outside. I really want to have coxcomb. And then lastly, I have some fish fertilizer. We're going to water our strawberries with some fish fertilizer and get them fertilized. So it's going to be a quick day, but let's go ahead and get started. The green beans are in the ground. I do about 6 seeds on each side just because I know that my luck, some maybe don't germinate or some that do will get eaten by rabbits. So If I planted 6 on each side, I pretty much guarantee myself that at least 2 on each side will grow. So hopefully these beans are not too old, and they should be just fine. We'll have to see. Bean packets do tell you you are supposed to soak your beans overnight. I don't do that. I think it's just fine. I always forget. I'm like, shoot, I forgot to do it. It's always worked out just fine. I also forgot today we're going to clean out this one bed and we're going to plant our tomatillos. So let's do that before we work on our bean trellis. Let's plant our tomatillos.
This is my first year growing tomatillos for myself. I'm not actually a huge fan of tomatillos. I think they're too sour for my taste. However, I wanted to try them this year because I want to try to make some true green salsa verde. I made green salsa verde this year from my tomatoes, my green tomatoes, and it's gonna get eaten, but it's not my favorite. So I wanted to do one year where I tried with real tomatillos to make this green salsa verde. And I talk about this in particular with weed in my bed right now. I talk about this a lot in some of my videos, but there's no point, in my opinion, to weed your garden before you're going to plant it. So I've been planting other areas of the garden, and I let this bed just kind of go. It's grown weeds, and it's been unsightly. But if you weed it before you plant it, so if it sits empty for a week with no weeds, it's just going to grow more weeds. So I've let it go until I've been ready to plant it. But then what's nice about it is because these are weeds that just grew this year. They weren't here last year. So the weeds are not, you can see how easily they're coming up. They're not established in this bed at all.
So in just a matter of minutes, we got all of the weeds cleared out. And we have 2 tomatillos. And then right back there, I planted a tamarillo back in that back corner. And then what I like to do is I'm just going to stick an okra in. One maybe at this corner and one maybe at this corner. Okra grow incredibly tall, but they don't take up a lot of ground space. So I like to tuck them in to the corners of beds with other plants. And it's a great way to kind of maximize your space. Now with these tomatillos, I think they're in the tomato family. They had roots coming up part of the stem, so just like tomatoes, we can plant tomatoes pretty deep because they have roots that come up the stem, and all of this will form into roots. The tomatillos only had roots coming up maybe an inch above the actual root base, so I don't think they're as similar to tomatoes where you can plant them really deep. So that one over there, I just planted basically where the root line was, but this one is really leggy, so I put him actually on an angle, so his root base is actually over here, and his stem kind of comes under the ground and then comes up. You can do that with tomatoes. I'm not sure if you can do that with tomatillos, but we're going to try. And they have been setting blossoms, so every blossom they've set, I have picked off because I want them to put their energy into forming their roots and kind of getting established in this bed before I want them to try to blossom and set fruit. And then this is a tamarillo. I don't actually know what he is, but we're going to grow him out and see what he does. Okay, I got a lot of the weeds by the bean trellis. The weeds are gone. I think I have a couple of thorns in my fingers, so that sucks. But I am losing this battle of thistle. I am trying so hard. I've covered everything with multiple layers of cardboard and straw, and the thistle just keeps coming up through it. I had the second thought, or I had 1 second thought of, I'm just going to dump Roundup on this whole bed and let it sit empty for a couple of years, and maybe that'll kill the thistle. And then I thought to myself, no, here you can. The thistle is like roaches. It'll live through anything. You cannot kill this thistle. So if anyone has an organic way of killing thistle, please let me know. I pulled 2 big buckets, and I'm staying on it, but it hurts my hands to pull it, and I really hate it. So anyhow, enough about my complaining. What I'm going to do is along this bean trellis, so this is where there were some big bushes. I had that piece of plywood right there because I have a holly bush that I can't kill. It keeps coming back, and you can tell by the holly bush it's been cut back numerous times, and it just keeps living. So I don't know how to get rid of that. So right now I just have plywood over that, trying to at least like curb some of that growth. But this whole area over here 2 years ago was big bushes. So the soil here is basically non-existent. It's a lot of roots.
So that's why I wanted to put beans in here this year. So we're trying to build up the soil. I did put some compost back here, some cardboard, some straw. So that'll all break down. And a year or two from now, this will be much better soil. Still not probably going to be very deep, but at least better soil. So what I'm going to do is I have a bag of ground soil, just regular potting mix, for raised beds. I'm just going to lay a layer of it just along the fence post line where the beans are going to go, just to give them a little bit more dirt to grow in and to give them nutrients. I planted corn in this section last year. My corn actually did really, really bad. It grew and it gave me ears, but the ears were bad. So I'm pretty sure it's just because there's a lack of nutrients in this space, again, which is why I want to put beans here. Beans are really good at adding nutrients to the ground. They just deposit so many nutrients. So that is what I'm going to do in order to give me some soil to work in. And that's something that you can do with anything. If you have, like I do it with compost. Instead of spreading compost or manure, sorry, my neighbor's dog is really loud. He does not like when I'm out here. But instead of maybe buying the expensive manure and spreading it across the entire bed, or same with compost or fertilizer, you can just kind of dig the hole where you want the plant to go and just put the manure and the compost and the fertilizer in that hole, rather than doing the whole garden. It's a way to save money, especially if you're not to the point that you are growing and kind of producing everything on your own homestead. I'm definitely not. So instead of kind of spreading everything out across the whole space, I'm just going to put soil in the line where my beans are going to go. So unfortunately, let me turn you around and show you how this is going to go this year, because I have a good amount of space down there. But when you get to where holly bush is and where the plywood is, basically that portion of the bean trellis I cannot plant in. I don't think I'm going to be able to get behind it in order to have it grow. So we'll see when we get there. But I only have a small section to work with, so I need to kind of figure out what I want to do. I don't know. We're just going to go, I'm going to put the soil down and we're just going to go kind of drop in seeds and see what we get. Growing beans is one of my favorite things to grow. It is so easy to grow beans, and I really love sitting on the porch on a summer evening with the fireflies all around shucking beans. I think that's just such an easy task. It's such a mindless task, but it's so simple and relaxing to me. It is one of my favorite things to do. In the morning with a cup of coffee, shucking beans, I love it. So if you're not growing beans, always just buy your beans from the store. The first year I grew my beans, I bought black beans off of Amazon because I couldn't find them in any of the normal seed catalogs, which makes sense because they're just normal beans that you eat. But I paid, I think, $6 for a pack of 100 black beans that I could have easily gotten from the store. So I like to try to do it in sections. I think I start with my kidney beans, then my black beans, and then my chickpeas. I'm trying to eyeball, see how many I want to do, and I kind of try to break it up by each fence post. So that first fence post was just the kidney beans, and from the second to the third was the black beans, and then the third to the end was the chickpeas. I always struggle with my black beans. I can always grow black beans, but I do struggle because animals, for some reason, really prefer the black bean seedlings. They, for the most part, leave my kidney and my pinto bean seedlings alone, but they will decimate my black bean seedlings. So those are something that when they sprout, I need to be mindful of and watch them and try to make sure hopefully nothing is eating them. But these are so easy to grow, and when I first grew them, I thought they had a too long of a growing season for where I am. I'm right on the line of 6B, 7A, so my growing season is about 120 days. But I can grow beans just fine. They're so easy to grow, and aside from the only problem I have with beans is just rabbits trying to eat my seedlings, but I love growing beans. They're so easy. And I move this around my garden. This is a great way to just put nutrients back into your soil. My black beans, something likes to eat my black beans every single time. As soon as they sprout, my black beans get eaten. So I sowed them really heavy. But when we kind of get up in this section here, the end of the black beans, and a good chunk of the chickpeas, the straw is so thick because there were so many weeds that I did move the straw and try to throw the beans down to the bottom of the straw. But it just rains, it's all wet, and it's kind of all clumped together, and so I keep telling myself seeds want to grow. They did not really get into soil. They're just kind of thrown into this massive wet pile of straw. And there's really no soil here. Like, that's the whole issue that I'm having. So we'll see if they grow. Seeds want to grow. They don't need perfect conditions. They want to grow. So we'll see if they do anything, and then we'll see if they do anything to the point that nothing gets eaten. Or at least I don't have to reseed. Things get eaten, but not everything. Beans take a long time to grow. I am able to grow them in my growing season. I'm right in the line of 6B, 7A. But I can grow beans here just fine. Beans are about, in my opinion, they're about 100-day growing season. Some are 120, but I have no problems growing beans here, and I love growing beans. So we're taking things off the list. I think I'm actually going to hold off on fertilizing the strawberries today. I'm going to leave it down here, but I don't think I'm going to do it today, just because it rained all day yesterday, so everything is pretty wet. So I don't think I want to add more water to my strawberries today. You don't want your strawberries to sit into a wet pile of gunk. So that's okay. We'll keep that down here, and we'll do that another time. I have a ground cherry I want to throw in, so I definitely have some sort of pest, but it's not being that bad of a pest. But I keep losing the same Brussels sprout. I lost the Brussels sprout, I replanted it, it's gone again. So that hole where that Brussels sprout was, it's just going to stay empty, because I keep losing it. And then same with the tomato. I've lost a tomato in the same space twice. It was 2 mushroom baskets that I've now lost. So I am not... I am going to go put another tomato in here. I have a couple tomatoes here. We're going to go throw them into that space. And then I have a ground cherry I need to find a home for. So I'm going to go put them in the ground. Oh, and then we're going to just throw some seeds everywhere. All my sunflower seeds. And with my sunflower seeds too, I just tuck them into holes. Like I said, I just love having sunflowers everywhere. So I'll go throw them everywhere. Tuck them in holes, tuck them in between plants. I want to have them everywhere. So we're going to go do that. And then we're going to call it a day. It's been really simple. Today's Mother's Day, so my mom is coming down. I'm grilling for her today. So I just kind of want to get a couple of these projects done before I have to go start preparing lunch. So let me go figure out what tomato I'm going to plant. I'm going to put a tomato in the ground, plant my ground cherries, and then throw my sunflower seeds in the ground. But thank you guys for joining me so much today. We are almost done with the garden season. It already looks fantastic. I'm still impatiently waiting for my chip drop delivery. I am very annoyed at all of my weeds, 100%. I need to mulch my paths. Hoping I get the chip drop delivery. I got it last year within like 2 days of requesting it, and I don't know if I waited too long this year or what, but I haven't gotten it yet. So I'm trying to decide how long do I wait for this before I just go buy a dump truckload of mulch. So for now, we're ignoring the weeds. We're just not looking at them. But we have so much stuff going. Oh, maybe I'll plant my zinnia beds today too. We'll see how I feel, because I'm trying this year to get in the mood of only gardening when I feel like it, and because it is my passion, I do feel like it a lot. But I will say right now, like just throwing seeds in the ground, honestly not my favorite thing. I really prefer kind of the harvesting prospect of everything. Obviously, I think that's what most people prefer, and then I really like pruning on a nice summer evening, like at 8 o'clock at night when the sun's going down, coming out here and kind of doing that kind of work. If you want to enjoy the harvest, you gotta do the dirty work. So I'm not really in the mood to do a ton of gardening, so I'm trying to not make it like a chore. I'm trying to only do it when I really want to get it done. And I knew I wanted to get the beans in the ground today, so I'm happy I got them done. I do kind of want to get the zinnias in, so we may throw them in the ground here. But I'm trying to really make it not a chore and make it something I enjoy doing all the time. But thank you guys for joining me. Stay tuned, because in just a matter of weeks, we're going to have so much growth happen in this garden. And I'm really aiming for this garden to be the prettiest garden I've ever had. And I'm so hopeful that this is the year that's going to happen. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.